Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you so much to everybody that has subscribed to the Young Fan Podcast YouTube channel. We only went and did it. 100 subscribers over a month before I set the target. Absolutely incredible. And of course, a promise is a promise. That does mean live content, live shows, and live watch-alongs will be coming to the podcast in the new year. So subscribe so you never miss a live show in the new year and you never miss an episode before that. However, now we're on that 100 subscriber. Now we've hit that 100 subscriber mark. We want to push on and we're always wanting to improve episode by episode. So please hit that subscribe button because we're on a new road, a new lane to get 150 subscribers. Can you make that happen? Of course you can. Go on, hit that subscribe button, people. Always hit that like button. And last but not least, sit back, relax, and enjoy this corker episode of the podcast. Hello everybody, welcome back to the Young Fan Podcast. It's 3 points for Oxford United in the league, and let's put it that way, it was not a very comfortable watch for the last few minutes, and that's putting it politely. The way that game ended, conceded a goal. No clean sheet for Oxford United, but do I care? Look at me. Do I care that we didn't keep a clean sheet? No, I bloody well don't. Because we got the 3 points, we got 2 goals, Henry and Taylor with the 2 goals as well, the 2 Oxford United men. I see Taylor and Henry as the real Oxford United, the duo that have done so well, that did do well last season, and obviously the connection and the duo between the two of them last season, and again the two of them scoring the 2 goals for Oxford United in a 2-1 win against Wigan Athletic this afternoon. Literally the game's just finished. Before we start though, thank you so much for the support on the last episode of the podcast. We did it. We hit 100 subscribers as well. I know I have sort of recorded like a thank you thing for the first minute or so of the podcast, so I won't go into too much detail there as well, but live content will be coming to the podcast. You know it. We all know it. It's coming. Subscribe. Leave a like as well because it does really well on YouTube. It helps the podcast in terms of being like recommended to other people and things like that, and that's what we want to do. We want to grow the podcast as best as we possibly can. But I thank you so much for that, because you guys are unbelievable at supporting me on this podcast journey. And also remember, give your thoughts on the game down below in the comments, and also in the description you can decide whether or not, based on the performances of the players, where they should move up and down in the ranking show, it should stay the same. Of course, we've got a brand new system on the ranking show that will be coming out very, very soon, where basically we'll be taking in the last game against the Crew in the defeat, and today's game, the win against Wigan. We take in both of your all of your sort of your rankings that you've given me in the description by clicking on the link Survey Hero. All you've got to do is click on that and decide whether the players of the top 10 should be moving up and down. It's very simple based on that result, whether you watch the game, whether you listen to the game, or whatever. The current ranking sees Ruffles in 10th, Henry in 9th, Long in 8th, Clare in 7th, Sykes in 6th, Goran in 5th, Taylor in 4th, Ford in 3rd, Shadipo in 2nd, and more at number 1. Based on the performances of those last 2 games and today's game, you need to decide whether or not the players should be moving up or down, the individual should be moving up or down from those positions that they're currently in based on the performance. That would be much appreciated as well. And of course, that's fantastic that you people can get involved with the podcast as well. So what we want to do, we want to get it more and more interactive. But of course, the biggest interaction will be coming when we can do the live shows as well. But into the game then. What a game it was. First half, we dominated the ball, which is so good, and a relief really for any. I guess if anything, it's a relief, and that is the biggest emotion I've got right now, and that is relief. We've had a very, very bad start to this season. The last game against Crew was concerning, very, very concerning. It was, and that's how I best described it. Really, it was not a good performance whatsoever. It was shambolic. And we had to have a big change, and I will put the lineup on the screen right now. I don't normally do that, but I will put it in there now because we made a lot of changes. We made a lot of changes from the team. I've got the lineup right in front of me now, and I think we needed to make changes. We really did need to make the changes that we made because we need a response, and the only way you're going to get a response in football, and the manager's going to get the response, and the way you're going to get that is if you make changes to your starting lineup, and you prove that and show with your team selection that you weren't happy with the previous performance, and that's what Carl Robinson did well today. He could have gone with the same one. He could have gone with the same team. He could have gone with the Clare at right back. He could have kept with Shadipo. He could have kept with Sykes. He could have kept. Who was the other player that came out? Anthony Ford. He could have kept those players in, but was he proving a point? Because he said it, and I said it before he said it as well. What the problem was with last game against Crew was we just lacked desire. We lacked passion, and I think a few of the players It sort of embarrassed the shirt, and it's a big statement. Of course it is, and that's a very, very big a big thing to say. But I think they did. I don't think they provided the desire and the passion to deserve to wear the Oxford United shirt in the last game, and he had to make changes, and he did that today. We were lucky that Atkinson came back, and Atkinson is a fine player. He's an absolutely quality centre back. To think he was playing non-league football is remarkable, but. He is a bit of an injury issue. He does tend to get those injuries, but he came in today, back in that centre-back position with Moore, the strongest partnership at centre-back. Not that Long's done a bad job at centre-back. I think he's done well, but Atkinson as a centre-back is top quality, and again today he showed just that. I think the defending from Atkinson was very, very good. The driving balls where he picks that ball up and runs into the middle of the park and can spray a ball out wide. And he's not very slow for a centre-back either, which is fantastic about Rob Atkinson. Really impressed with him, and Elliot Moore as well today. I think Elliot Moore does seem much more confident defensively. Not that he's been bad, like I said, but I think Moore is much more confident defensively when he's got the likes of Atkinson next to him, a real renowned centre-back in terms of he knows the position well and things like that. So really happy with Atkinson and Moore today. I thought the defending was good. Gutted for them they didn't get a clean sheet. That defence and goalkeeper are crying out for a clean sheet at the moment. It wasn't to be, but I think generally on the whole, we considered the goal in the 88th minute. It was nervy at the end, but I think generally up to that point, I think the defenders did very, very well today. We have commented a lot on the shakiness of the defence and the fragile defence that we've seen so often, but I do think generally today that the defence was much more solid and didn't look as fragile when they were coming at us. So really impressed with those defenders today, and Ruffles at left back I thought had a much improved game. We've been very sort of critical of Ruffles because we are comparing Ruffles to a player that he was last season and seasons before that when he came in at left back, and he's done such a good job playing left back. And this season he started slow, but to be fair, that goes with a lot of the players we've got at the football club so far this season. There has been a very lacklustre, slow start for the players, and Jeff Ruffles definitely did come under that category. Of course, never really been the same since he obviously had that injury that he's not very used to, and it's very rare for Ruffles to have an injury, and he did have one at the start of the season. But I was really impressed with him today, really impressed with the performance of Josh Ruffles today. I thought he did a much better job, so really impressed with him as well. Sam Long coming in at right back, Sean Clare being dropped. I think it had to be done. I like Sean Clare when he's on form. I think we all do. But when he's not on form, he is a bit of an issue at right back. You need a right back that at this level as well can defend, and I think Sean Clare's got those attacking attributes and got an assist today as well. He's a very quick guy and a very strong guy, but in the tackling defensively, in his positioning at times hasn't been good enough, and that's why he has been very, very critical, been very critically attacked, I guess, by the fans. But Sam Long today at right back did a fantastic job. You can always rely on Sam Long. He's always a player that you can put in and feel comfortable with in a position. He did a great job at centre back covering there while Rob was out, and obviously he comes back in at right back today, and I thought was absolutely fantastic. So really happy with Sam Long. I think he keeps his position. I'd be very, very surprised if Clare comes in the next game. Of course, Portsmouth on Tuesday night, and Clare comes in there. But I thought Long did a fantastic job and should keep his position. So really good from Carl to make that change, and I think he's definitely rewarded Carl. Obviously 101 appearances I think it is for Sam Long, 102 appearances I think it is now for Sam Long, and he had a very good game as well. Really impressed with him. In terms of the midfield, I think the midfield did very, very well. It was a very changed midfield, of course. We had two different players in this midfield compared to last match. Gorin, Kelly and McGuane in the midfield for Oxford United today. Gorin was always going to play in that midfield, and Gorin is so important. I always talk about how underrated I think Gorin is, but I actually think he's quite rated. I do think he's quite rated, but in terms of underrated, I think when you look at his position and you look at what he does for this Oxford United team, again today, he gets in the book. He is a little bit wild at times, and that's one way of putting it. I think he is quite wild when he defends in that defensive midfield role, but what he does so well is if Atkinson does want to dive in, he can cover in there as well. He's a very, very good defensive midfielder, and again I think that's what we've missed a player with a bit of edge, a bit of defending edge, a bit of quality about him in that defensive midfield role, and I think Gorin did that so well today. Very tenacious, a player we really do need at this football club, and I'm really happy we've he's back fit, playing 90 minutes of football for Oxford United in the yellow shirt, even though we weren't in the yellow shirt. We were in the very tango-themed orange shirt today, Oxford United. But I thought Goran did very, very well today, and I think he definitely is once again showing how important he is to this Oxford United side. So really impressed with Alex Goran today in that midfield. And then in front of him, in the sort of formation graphic, we've got McGuane and Kelly. Obviously, for Crew, it was a midfield of Sykes and Ford. And I do feel a bit sorry for Ford, because I think Ford has really done very well this season, has sort of taken the opportunity that he had and took it with two hands, and was actually performing really well for Oxford United. He didn't have a great game against Crewe, and I was very honest and open about that. I'm a bit of a Ford lover in terms of I do like the fact that he's come into this team and has done a really, really good job since he got that opportunity. Didn't have a great game against Crewe, and I thought McGuane and Kelly today did a really, really good job in there. Kelly not playing the Goring role. Of course, we've seen him play when Goring wasn't fit, and I think Kelly in that more offensive role is much better. He's Kelly, he struggles with the old tackling aspect of things. The amount of silly fouls he's given away, I've been very vocal about that, but I think in that attacking and offensive role, I thought Kelly was very, very good. Really impressive with Liam Kelly today. I thought, like I said, in that more offensive attacking role, where he's got the freedom to pass the ball, he's got a good passing range, he's got a good drive on him. He's quite nippy as well, being quite a very short lad. He's quite a small guy, but what he can do is he really can open the play up offensively, and he's got Goring behind him. If a pass doesn't go the way he wants it to go, or a pass isn't performed in the way he'd hoped it for, he hasn't got to worry that he's the last man. He's got Goring behind him to be able to defend and sweep up if needs be. And I think that's why Kelly played with a much more confidence today. I was impressed with Kelly. Really, really happy with him starting. I mean, before I was a little bit cautious about it, but I think after that, I'm now very, very happy that he started him today. He was a player that was really, really helpful. Again, Kelly had a really good game today as well. Next in was Marcus McGuane. I thought Marcus took a while for the game to get going. I thought Marcus wasn't so. He didn't start flying, he didn't start, unbelievable, but he got into the game. He wins fouls quite well. He's very, very, he's quite a strong lad, got good physique in that midfield and can drive at players. He's not slow, he's quick as well. He can pass the ball as well. He did have a dodgy pass in the first half, but I thought generally McGuane was very, very good. And yeah, I was really, really impressed with McGuane today. But that was in the second half. First half, I was a little bit iffy about him. And actually, first 10 minutes, I'd say, into that second half, before the goal that he was sort of assisted, I'd say, for Taylor, I was wondering what he had left in him. But I think he did do very well. He got the assist as well. Good ball into Taylor. That's first touch from Matty Taylor was unbelievable. And the finish was absolutely phenomenal. But McGuane was quality today. McGuane was very, very good in that last... sort of in the 20 minutes, he was alive. Like 20 minutes, he was really alive, and then he got taken off. But I thought in those 20 minutes, he was fantastic today. Really happy with Marcus McGuane. So I'm happy he was in that midfield, and we had a good midfield three there. Goring, Kelly, and McGuane worked well, and that midfield was really, really good. And obviously that gave us the opportunities without having Ford and Sykes. It wasn't Ford that came on, but Sykes that could come in. He's a good player that you can bring off on the bench in midfield. Sykes, he's got that sort of ability on the ball with his feet and things like that. Really impressive him. So no, and a good player to bring on Sykes, and a midfield as well. That it may not be our strongest midfield in terms of players. But, and you probably would put Brannigan in there, and Brannigan will come in there. See, we know he's back in training, which is a huge plus for Oxford United. But, when he is fit, he probably will come in back in that lineup. But who are you going to put him in for? I probably could see McGuane, Goring and Brannigan working again, sort of the trio that we thought was probably going to be the one that we'd start with at the start of the season. But I thought Kelly had a good game, but I think when you got Brannigan in there, I think you could have McGuane in there as a bit more of a box-to-box midfielder, and then Goring in there as well. But that wasn't the case. Brannigan's not starting yet, so I think that is a good midfield three, and they did well for Oxford United today. Really impressed with them. On the right, we had James Henry, and he turned it around today. He has spoken quite a lot about sort of how he's been carrying a bit of an injury. He's getting used to his surroundings in terms of new players around him. But today he worked very, very well. Him and Long on that right-hand side were much, much better. I think he does prefer having Long as a right-back instead of Clare. He knows Long much better as a right-back from where he was playing on the right Henry last season. And he came into his own again today. Sort of drift inside, which we don't mind with James Henry. Very, very quick. Quite a strong lad. Very good on the ball. He can put a ball in the box. He's done so well. He put a really good ball in the first half that Taylor really could have got anything on it towards the goal. It would have gone him. But Henry much better today. Wearing that captain's armband. He's been a little bit quiet. He's missed a penalty against Fleetwood or things like that. But generally much better today. Henry, not his best performance, but he got a goal as well. I think he's going to build on that. we want him to build on that, and it's really, really positive from James Henry as well. He was never going to get taken out of the lineup, of course. He's such an important player for Oxford United, and even in games where we might not be absolutely fantastic, Henry does sort of take the opportunity with two hands, as he always does, like I said, and I think he did a very, very good job today. So really happy with with James Henry. And obviously Matty Taylor up front as well. We'll come on to Matty Taylor in a minute, actually. We'll start on the left. Obita, the new man. Of course, he played in the Lee Sing Cup. Sorry, Papa John's Trophy. And he played the Papa John's Trophy on the left. And didn't do a bad job at all. Didn't watch the game, but what I heard, he wasn't awful. I don't think he's the quickest player. I would say that. He's not the quickest player, Obita. He might prove me wrong. He looked a little bit... and that could be lack of fitness as well. He hasn't played a lot of football recently. But Obita, in the left today, like I said, Carl had to make a response to his starting lineup, and he did that. And Obita did very, very well today on that left-hand side. He caused the left-hand side problems. Like I say, he might not be the quickest, but he can put a ball in the box on that left foot. And having a left-footed player on the left wing is a big plus as well, because we haven't got to worry about cutting in. He can put a first-time ball on the left. It does help Taylor with that delivery. We've mentioned so many times how Taylor has sort of lacked that delivery into the box, and having a player that can put a ball in first time on the left does help him. And obviously having Henry that can put it on the right does help him as well. And we know what the duo connection, chemistry they've got going on that side. But Obita today I thought was good. Wasn't unbelievable. Didn't set the world alight. But again, Obita did well today. Shadipo came on that left-hand side again, didn't do anything unbelievable, had a bit of a dodgy free kick. But I think having Shadipo to come off the bench, Shadipo can start as well. I don't think he's a bench player in the long term. I don't really know, but I think Obita did well today. Not unbelievable. If I was going to give him a rating, it'd probably be a 6 or 6.5. But again, he didn't do anything wrong, and I think he was quite strong. He's quite sensible. He's quite experienced. He knows the game quite well. He's not, a lot of wingers we've had at this club have been quite, for example, the Nathan Hollands and the Shadipos, lack a little bit, and I don't mean this offensively, a little bit of football intelligence. When last night, the other night when Shadipo kept fouling his man, it annoyed me. He got booked, and it just broke the game apart. Obita was sensible. He's played left back. He knows what it's like to tackle. He can tackle a ball. So Obita at left back did okay, and impressed with him. Matty Taylor, of course, up front as well. Got his goal. He needed the goal. He was quite slow on, to try and get into the game. He had quite a few opportunities and just kept missing them. I thought if there's a player that we want to see a goal, it's going to be Matty Taylor, and he eventually did it. And that goal was perfection. The touch on that right foot, and then he hits it. Oh, it might have been the touch on the left foot, and then he obviously spun on the half turn and the roof on the net. It's a fantastic finish from Matty Taylor. Absolutely incredible finish, and it's so glad he's got his goal, because that really does. Do everything for his confidence. He's a player that he was a player that you clearly see was lacking confidence, and he is a confidence lad, as many of the I guess most of the players are as well. But Matty Taylor getting his goal today, so important. You know how much it meant to him, and to get that goal is going to be hopefully off and running now. We can get a few goals. We've got very, very difficult game on Tuesday against Portsmouth, and then of course the big one next Saturday against Swindon. If I'm right, I'm pretty sure that is Swindon. In the next one, I'll double check. I'm pretty sure it is Swindon in the next game as well. So yeah, for some reason I cannot find that out at the moment. But I do believe that it is Swindon on Saturday. I know it's definitely Portsmouth, so that's not going to be an easy game. We're going to have to be very, very good if we want to get anything out of that game. But I'm sure we can if we put in some performance. If we put in performances, it wasn't an incredible performance. It wasn't an unreal performance, but it was a much better performance today. A bit frustrating about the clean sheet, but Henry Taylor in the goals in a 2-1 win against Wigan Athletic. And I think Wigan, for all their issues they've got at that football club, I really don't think they were awful today. Going forward, they weren't as good as they were defensively. I thought they were very solid defensively, Wigan, but that's the way it is. And yeah, really, really happy with that result. And we take it into the next one. Thank you very much for watching this episode of the podcast and listening to this episode of the podcast. Remember, subscribe, leave a like on this episode of the podcast as well. We've hit 100 subscribers. Live content coming very, very soon. I'm very, very excited for that. Hopefully you are as well. If you're excited, leave a like as well. And potentially, there could be a little Christmas special coming up as we go into the month of December. Anyway, more news will be coming out very, very soon. Giveaways in Christmas. Sounds pretty decent if you ask me. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been Jack. This has been the Young Fan Podcast, and I'll see you later. Have a good rest of your Saturday. Have a good Saturday night. Have a good rest of your weekend, and I'll see you next week for the ranking show. Remember, get your stuff done in the link in the description. You know what I'm talking about. Survey Hero. Get your thoughts on the ranking show. It's very interactive here on the podcast. Go and hit the subscribe button. Let's get 150 subscribers. Let's do it, people. I'll see you in a bit. Have a good rest of your Saturday. I'll see you later. Goodbye.